Grove Street. Anyways. Guy. Ooh, what about that? I'm not here. Alright, so we got some more scary stuff to watch. Haven't watched one of these in a minute. Not a huge fan. That's not true. They're alright. A college horror story, animated, and a caterer I hired broke into my house at night. You already know how I feel about people breaking into houses. You break in there and you don't make it out alive, you can only blame yourself. So, a college horror story. It's only 3 minutes too, so it better be very scary. Where's my water? So I have something to hold. Then I get afraid. Instagram link, Twitter link, donation link down below. Let's go ahead and do it. It's mostly the music. I say it every time, and it's true. It's mostly the music that makes it scary.
My campus didn't offer housing, and I lived about a half a mile from school, so I started my journey as usual while playing on my phone. I glanced up to see an old man heading towards me on a bicycle. Normally, I'd step aside to let bikers and skaters pass, but he braked instead. I stopped too, wondering if there was something wrong. He walked up to me and said, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you." I felt chills instantly.
What the?
I didn't know what to think. I just looked up at him with a fearful and confused expression. I was gathering up the courage to tell him that I was late for class and I should go, but before I could say anything, he said, "Get off the grass!" Looking down, I noticed I'd stepped over towards the road and onto the grass. I stepped off slowly and he said, "You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?" He raised his finger and asked me what my name was. I told him, and he replied, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you." The same chills ran through my body again, but before I could say anything, the man said, "Get off the grass! You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?" I looked down to see that I was back on the edge of the sidewalk again. This had to be deja vu. He asked for my name once more. I said my name again, but he interrupted me before I could finish. He told me his grandchildren are down the road and needed gas money. I told him I didn't have any spare change, or any change at all for that matter. He continued to ask me again, and I gave him the same answer. Eventually, I headed towards my school. I turned to see if he was still there, but he was gone. As I was walking, I approached the intersection. There was a truck on its side. It must have tipped over while turning the corner. If you want to help support the channel, head on over to the brand new Llama Arts merch store. It has new stuff available like updated t-shirt designs, a mug from the Sleepover Story episode, an embroidered hoodie, a llama pin, and even...
All right, so we have a caterer I hired broke into my house at night. That's what we're about to watch next. No, I'm not going. No, I'm not. Let's go ahead and go.
Olivia and her fiance threw a dinner party one time to celebrate his mom completing chemo. She hired a caterer and they were expecting 25 friends and family. The caterer said he'd bring everything 75% done, but he needed to finish off some dishes in their kitchen. She told him that was fine as long as he finished by 5. He arrived as scheduled at 12 p.m., but the moment he entered the house, Olivia noticed that he had a disgusting smell. That made her uneasy because he was going to be preparing food for sick prior and young kids. She just made sure he washed his hands and then left him to his own devices, worrying she was just being presumptuous. The entire time, he kept asking her about the seasoning of the food and telling her to taste it. She said, "You're the chef, so I trust you. You don't have to keep asking me." Fast forward, he was still there at 5:45. The guests were arriving, so after 2 gentle reminders, she flat out told him she needed him completely out by 6 no matter what. He apologized and said there had been a delay because Olivia's oven wouldn't stay up to temperature. She never had a problem with her oven before, but figured he's the professional, so maybe it was a subtle problem. He gets his bags and packs everything up, but suddenly heads towards her bedroom. Olivia's completely taken aback and says, "Excuse me, where are you going?"
Where are you going?
And he says, "To change." She tells him she's not comfortable with him going in her room and there's a restroom to do that. But he insisted it will only take a second and goes in and shuts and locks the door. Olivia couldn't even get a word out before he went in and felt helpless. At this point, her fiance had come back home, so she explained the situation to him. Confused as to what was going on, he pounds on the door, telling the caterer to come out. The man opens the door wearing a t-shirt and jeans. Her fiance said, "You shouldn't be in there. You need to leave." The caterer responded and said, "Excuse me, but this is not your house. It's not up to you to decide." "Yes, actually, it is. My fiance lives here with me."
It's that simple. It sounded a little bit complicated, but it's really that simple.
Suddenly, the caterer goes nuts. He turns to her and screams, "You lied to me!" Olivia had no clue what he was talking about.
What?
He starts yelling about how she led him on and blurting nonsense, calling her disgusting names. He then goes in the kitchen and starts throwing the food out of the refrigerator and onto the floor. Without hesitating, the fiancé and his 2 brothers forced him to leave the house immediately. Thankfully, the party then went on as planned, but Olivia insisted they just order pizza and throw out all the food he made. After partying, they went out and drinking with his brothers and got home at around 3:30 a.m. and passed out in their room. And then, at around 5 a.m., Olivia was woken up to the sound of the door opening. Olivia wakes up her fiancé and whispers, "I think someone just came in the house." He said, "Probably my brother left his wallet or something." Olivia figured she's being paranoid when suddenly a loud crash came from outside the room. He told her to lock herself in the closet and call 911 while he went out and looked around. As she was pulling out her phone, they hear, "Olivia, hello?" And she realizes that insane caterer. She went outside and saw the man shirtless and clearly on something. He lunges towards Olivia and her fiancé stops him while she called the police. He tells him the cops have been called and it would be in his best interest for him to get off the property. The caterer says, "I have to make sure Olivia's okay." Her fiancé stayed between them while she climbed out the window. He even thought of taking the gun out of the safe. The caterer began to destroy their kitchen, and when the cops finally came in, they see that he has a knife on him. He didn't obey police's orders to drop his weapon, so they tased him. As he's being let out in handcuffs, he's shouting out how he and Olivia are in love. The police asked to do an inventory of the house and see if anything's missing or damaged besides what they witnessed him do. They went around, but saw nothing. But then Olivia remembered that he was in her room. She quickly checked and found out that all her panties were gone. They were so freaked out in the aftermath that they replaced all kitchenware and they had a cleaning crew do a deep clean on the whole house. Olivia was so glad that she decided not to serve the food to the guests, especially her fiancé's fragile mother. The caterer sent a letter from prison and thankfully her husband intercepted because she was still recovering from the whole thing. They gave it to the police who helped issue a no-contact order. He was sent to 3 years in prison and thankfully Olivia and her family never saw him again.
Until next time. What the fudge? My mouth was open like the whole time, huh? I was like this. Right? I probably was, huh? That's wild. People be doing some crazy stuff, man. I wasn't talking a lot because when it's like a scary story, you want to hear like all the parts of it to make sure you might not need more information from earlier later now that you need, Because you might miss something that you might should have caught earlier that you should have. Don't like a sub. Ugh. We're not gonna talk about the first one. Let's just not talk about the first one. The caterer. My only question is, where did she call this dude from? Like, was it an ad on Craigslist? Because you get what you pay for now. Was he on? I mean, how do you know this dude? Where do you know him from? What newspaper article did you read that you should call this dude? Because I mean, people just go crazy too, I guess. Can you imagine someone breaking in your house and they have no shirt on? Boy, first of all, go put a shirt on. Not here either. First of all, leave the house. Let's start over. The fiance, low key, he wasn't really all that. If it was me, y'all know. Come on.
Boy, if you don't get...
Y'all seen what I can do. Let me shut up. Dude breaking my house, there really is no discussion. The police might not get called, because I might not need them. What the fudge? My mouth was open like the whole time, huh? I was like this. Right? I probably was, huh?